let's just talk about like sort of the equitable distribution of this. We do know that if you live in a low income neighborhood or community, you are less likely to have facilities to get you shots. You are less likely to have relationships between medical personnel and the community. You are less likely to have the time and the flexibility at 3 a.m. to go run out and get that shot when they call you, because you don't have a live-in nanny like Meghan McCain does, I'm sure. Or maybe she has multiple ones. So you don't have that flexibility. So it's harder to get the vaccines to communities of low income and also communities of color. And also the need there is greater because a lot of these people are working jobs that require them to travel greater distances, or they're jobs that we deem as necessary workers. And so there have been systems set up to help ensure that certain amounts of vaccine are set aside and are targeted in a way that Meghan McCain only needs a phone call and she'll run out at 3 a.m. in the morning because she'll have her. And, but unfortunately, in LA, apparently, and I imagine this is happening all over the place, LA Times, there's access codes that are given to these communities to make sure that Black and Latino communities get vaccinated. They are particularly hard hit areas. So even if you don't want to even think about it in terms of like a justice perspective, if you want to just look at it in terms of public health, you go to the communities where the breakouts are biggest and you get those communities vaccinated as quickly as possible for the sake of the entire society. And apparently there are, those codes are either being sold or stolen or circulated, and you're getting wealthy people coming into the communities and using those codes. Here is Newt Gingrich to tell you why it is anti-white to provide those codes.
Important thing. If you withhold too much, the vaccines are going to go bad, and then you're going to put many, many more people's lives at risk.
Tommy. Yeah, well, white liberals never miss an opportunity to pander, and that's exactly what that was. What racial justice has to do with making sure people are vaccinated and public health and safety is beyond me. But again, this is what we expect from the left. This is their woke, radical message that they've been preaching to us for years now. So I don't know why we find it surprising at all. You know, they talk about these same things in equity and distribution in California. That was actually part of their metric in California for reopening, was racial justice and equity. So this is how the left operates. This is how white liberals operate. To me, it's not only ridiculous, but it's also rather insulting to those people of color and to those communities, because it seems as though they're really talking down to those individuals and those groups of people in a sorry and sad attempt to pander. But not surprised. This is the woke left. This is how they operate. Speaker, your thoughts?
Speaker, no longer.
But this is just part of the anti-white racism. It's crazy. You should take care of the medical workers. You should take care of the elderly, whatever their race. And then you can talk about everything else. But what Markey was saying would guarantee a lot more people would die in the name of essentially an ideology which is anti-white.
Harris, your thoughts?
Harris, your thoughts.
Well,
Please,
we are
say
seeing
something.
Canada do something like this because the scientists all over the world.
Yeah.
Harris, say something.
Thank you so much for the lead up, Tomi Lahren. I totally forgot you existed. You're no longer the flavor of the month or whatever.
But the idea of why you would, I mean, it's basically like saying giving it to people over the age of 65 or 75 is ageist. No, you do this to communities that are suffering the most under this pandemic. It is simply a fact that communities of color are suffering more. They're suffering again for all those reasons I said, because they end up having a disproportionate amount of necessary workers. They have a disproportionate amount of travel that they must engage in to do that work. They have a disproportionate amount of, or I should say, a disproportionately lack of medical facilities and public hospitals, and to make sure that people can get, and they have a disproportionate inability to isolate, and they have a higher rate of cross-generational people living together. I mean, there's myriads of reasons
But Sam, you're making a case as to how capitalism is racist, and they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear it.
I don't like white people. So
no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, isn't that what our the sub headline of our show is, right? It's the Majority Report, and then bringing you news. White. I don't even know what the other one is, and then beneath it in fine print, it's exterminate the white race.
We don't say exterminate.
Oh, what is it then?
Just let's dial it back. Dial it back. Dial them back, the white race, at every time.
Gotcha.
Guys, I feel very uncomfortable as three white people talking about this.
Well, I know, but I mean, we're race traders, so.
Oh, that's what it is, right?